How do you go from bench warmer to international icon in the span of 2 weeks? How does an undrafted player from the Ivy League bring hope to millions and become the biggest story in sports?
Lin for the win! Got it!
And how does it all come crashing back to earth just as quickly as it began? Buckle up for a story you have to see to believe. The mind-blowing, stranger-than-fiction saga of Jeremy Lin. Our story begins with an overlooked basketball prospect from Palo Alto, California named Jeremy Lin. The son of Taiwanese immigrants, Lin grew up a Warriors fan, but barely received any Division I college attention despite a stellar high school career. As a senior, he led Palo Alto High to a 32-1 record and a shocking upset of nationally ranked Mater Dei in the state championship game. Lin notched 17 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebounds in the win, capping a season in which he averaged 15.1 points, 7.1 assists, 6.2 rebounds, and 5 steals per game. However, his only scholarship offers came from Harvard and Brown. None of the big-time West Coast programs wanted to take a chance on the scrawny Asian American kid. Even Stanford, located just across the street from his high school, passed. Undeterred, Lin chose to attend Harvard, where he would hone his point guard skills in the relative obscurity of the Ivy League. As a 4-year starter for the Crimson, Lin quietly established himself as one of the conference's top players. His quickness, court vision, and ability to get to the rim and finish in traffic stood out. By his junior year, Lin was the only NCAA Division I men's player ranking in the top 10 in his league for scoring, rebounding, assists, steals, blocked shots, field goal percentage, free throw percentage, and 3-point field goal percentage.
To pull the Monarchs within 2. Huge play here as Lin hits the big shot with time running down.
Yet despite his collegiate success, NBA scouts still weren't biting. After earning all Ivy League honors 3 times, Lin graduated from Harvard in 2010 with a degree in economics and serious questions about his professional basketball future. Going undrafted in the 2010 NBA draft seemed to confirm the doubts about Jeremy Lin's pro potential, but he finally earned an NBA opportunity with his hometown Golden State Warriors, beating out 2 drafted rookies in training camp to make the roster. Still, as an undrafted free agent, Lin's spot was tenuous. He played only 29 games for the Warriors as a rookie. The team sent him down to their D-League affiliate in Reno 3 separate times. Waived by the Warriors after his first season, Lin received a non-guaranteed contract with the Houston Rockets. But near the end of training camp, Houston decided to go in a different direction. 3 days before Christmas 2011, they cut Lin to clear payroll space. His NBA dream hung by a thread. However, a former Warriors assistant coach had joined Mike D'Antonio's New York Knicks staff and recommended they take a look at Lin. At the time, New York was dealing with injuries to point guards Baron Davis and Iman Shumpert. So on December 27th, the desperate Knicks claimed Lin off waivers, not realizing they had just stumbled upon a diamond in the rough who would soon set the basketball world ablaze.
Crowd wants him, puts up the 2-pointer, puts it in! Jeremy Lin!
Coach Mike D'Antoni cycled through Tony Douglas, Mike Bibby, and Iman Shumpert at point guard, but nothing clicked for his pick-and-roll offense. With the Knicks trailing the New Jersey Nets in the 4th quarter on February 4th in a desperate need of a spark, D'Antoni finally turned to his 4th-string point guard. Lin responded with a thunderous performance, notching 25 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds to lead New York to a come-from-behind victory. Little did anyone know, the basketball world was about to be turned on its head. 2 nights later at Madison Square Garden, Lin got his second start with the Knicks still short-handed in the backcourt. Once again, he seized the opportunity, dropping 28 points and 8 assists on the Utah Jazz. Knicks fans, frustrated by the team's sluggish start, showered the unheralded Harvard grad with MVP chants. But this was only the beginning. Lin was about to take the entire sport by storm and become an overnight international icon. The legend of Linsanity had been born. Over the next 2 weeks, Jeremy Lin went from an anonymous end-of-the-bench reserve to the biggest headline in sports. Inserted into the starting lineup, he put up eye-popping numbers game after game, hitting clutch shots and playing with an infectious joy and swag.
To tie, Lin, driving, and one!
On February 10th, Lin outdueled Kobe Bryant at Madison Square Garden, racking up a career-high 38 points, 7 assists in a 92-85 Knicks win. Lin's scoring outbursts and late-game heroics continued unabated. There was the game-winning three-pointer with less than a second left against Toronto, followed by a 27-point, 11-assist masterpiece to outduel John Wall and the Wizards. Remarkably, Lin was putting up these historic numbers with the Knicks' two leading scorers, Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire, out of the lineup. The undrafted point guard from Harvard, cut by two teams and sent to the D-League 4 times as a rookie, was single-handedly turning around New York's season. Linsanity had quickly morphed from cute sports story to all-out cultural phenomenon. As Jeremy Lin's incredible run continued, the excitement and hysteria surrounding him reached unprecedented levels for an NBA player. His jersey sales skyrocketed, becoming the league's top seller in a matter of days. Media members from around the globe flocked to cover Knicks games. Lin made the cover of Sports Illustrated in back-to-back weeks. He was interviewed by ABC World News and Time magazine. President Barack Obama even commented on the craze at a press conference. For Asian Americans, Lin's sudden rise to superstardom carried an extra layer of significance. As the NBA's first American-born player of Chinese or Taiwanese descent, he shattered long-held stereotypes and inspired millions of young fans who had rarely seen themselves represented positively in professional sports or popular culture. In a span of a few weeks, Lin had become a global icon, hero, and source of immense ethnic pride. On the court, Lin's playmaking lifted his teammates and energized the Knicks. Steve Novak, Jared Jeffries, and Laundry Fields all seemed to benefit from the point guard's expert drive and kick game. Madison Square Garden crackled with Lin-induced fervor. MVP chants rained down nightly. The Knicks were finally fun to watch again. Yet Linsanity wasn't just a sports story. It morphed into a worldwide cultural touchstone. Late night hosts, Saturday Night Live skits, and an endless barrage of catchy puns made Lin the most talked about man on the planet. A devout Christian who had openly discussed his faith throughout his basketball journey, Lin credited his sudden success to the power of God working on his life. Fans from different continents, races, and cultures found inspiration in his underdog story and easy-to-root-for persona. As the Linsanity streak hit 7 straight victories, questions emerged about how the returns of superstar teammates Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire would impact the Knicks' new sensation. Anthony, used to having the offense revolve around his isolation and mid-post touches, appeared ill-suited for Coach D'Antoni's read-and-react scheme that had helped unlock Lin's potential. In a visit to the defending champion Miami Heat on February 23rd, some cracks began to show. The Heat's swarming defense, led by LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, stifled Lin into his worst game as a starter. 1 for 11 shooting, 8 turnovers, and just 8 points.
7 assists against the Lakers. Oh, the steal is Lin.
Miami's 102-88 victory snapped New York's Lin-fueled winning streak and provided a sombering reminder of the challenges the team still faced to become a true contender. More adversity followed in the form of a torn meniscus in Lin's left knee, which required season-ending surgery. Without their folk hero point guard, the Knicks limped to the finish line, losing 11 of their final 23 games. D'Antoni resigned in mid-March after the team's stars reportedly pushed for a return to a Carmelo-centric offense. In the playoffs, New York bowed out meekly to the Heat in 5 games, ending a roller coaster campaign that had been resurrected by Lin's incredible rise. Though he only started 25 games before his season-ending injury, Jeremy Lin had captivated the basketball universe with his Cinderella story. While Linsanity proved relatively short-lived, Jeremy Lin still carved out an impressive NBA career over the next decade. He parlayed his star turn with the Knicks into a $25 million free agent contract with the Houston Rockets, where he teamed up with James Harden to form an exciting young backcourt. Though he never quite recaptured the individual magic of his New York run, Lin developed into a capable NBA point guard and key contributor on several playoff teams. One of Lin's most memorable moments post-Linsanity came during his lone season with the Lakers in 2014-2015. In a crucial game against the rival Clippers, Lin made headlines by waving off Kobe Bryant's request for the ball in the closing minutes. With the score tied, Lin called for an isolation play, let the shot clock wind down, then rose up for a gutsy three-pointer over Chris Paul's outstretched arm, and buried it.
The screen. Shot clock at 2. Lin has to heave and buries it.
It was an audacious move to tell Kobe he couldn't have the ball in crunch time, but Lin later revealed the two had gotten into an argument earlier in the season, leading to a lengthy freeze-out. "I finally had enough, and that's why I waved him off that one time," Lin explained on the All the Smoke podcast. Remarkably, he felt Bryant's silent treatment was a sign of respect. The two eventually buried the hatchet the following season. However, as injuries began to take a toll in his late 20s, Lin embraced more of a supporting role. He averaged 11.7 points and 3 assists per game off the bench for the 2015-2016 Charlotte Hornets, finishing 7th in 6th Man of the Year voting. 3 years later, he won an NBA championship as a reserve for the Toronto Raptors, becoming the first Asian American player to hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Though he last played in the NBA in 2019 before heading overseas, Lin's cultural impact and legacy as a trailblazer endures. He remains an icon and an inspiration for millions of Asian Americans who had never seen themselves represented at the pinnacle of the basketball world before his meteoric rise. Years later, fans still regularly approach Lin to share their Linsanity memories and detail how his journey touched their lives. For a glorious 2-week stretch in February of 2012, an undrafted point guard from Harvard set the hoops universe ablaze and took his place in sports history. Jeremy Lin proved to a global audience that Asian American ballers could not only hang with NBA stars, they could outshine them on the game's biggest stage. His feel-good underdog story transcended sports, bringing joy and hope to millions during a period of gloomy economic recovery.
Wind up turning it over, the other team seems to always score.
Lin got hit and...
So, just how good was Linsanity? It was more than just a great basketball tale. For Asian Americans and underdogs everywhere, it was the ultimate inspiration. A reminder that sometimes fairy tales do come true, and that no one should ever tell you what you can't achieve. Jeremy Lin's NBA moment was brief, but utterly unforgettable. A supernova of basketball brilliance, cultural significance, and pure, unbridled sports magic. We may never see anything quite like it again. But hey, that's just my take. We want to hear from you too. What do you think of Linsanity's story? What moments stood out to you? Leave us a comment below and let's keep the conversation going. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're always breaking down the biggest stories and trends in the NBA, and you won't want to miss our future videos. And hey, while you're at it, smash that bell icon too. That way you'll be notified as soon as we drop new content. Trust me, with how quickly things change in the NBA, you'll want to stay up to date.